During its first 100 years, Chicago was one of the fastest growing cities in the world. When founded in 1833, fewer than 200 people had settled on what was then the American frontier. By the time of its first census, 7 years later, the population had reached over 4,000. In the 40 years from 1850 to 1890, the city's population grew from slightly under 30,000 to over 1 million. At the end of the 19th century, Chicago was the fifth largest city in the world, and the largest of the cities that did not exist at the dawn of the century. Within 60 years of the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, the population went from about 300,000 to over 3 million, and reached its highest ever recorded population of 3.6 million for the 1950 census. Quote, "From the last 2 decades of the 19th century, Chicago was the destination of waves of immigrants from Ireland, Southern, Central and Eastern Europe, including Italians, Jews, Russians, Poles, Greeks, Lithuanians, Bulgarians, Albanians, Romanians, Turkish, Croatians, Serbs, Bosnians, Montenegrins and Czechs. To these ethnic groups, the basis of the city's industrial working class, were added an additional influx of African Americans from the American South. With Chicago's black population doubling between 1910 and 1920 and doubling again between 1920 and 1930. In the 1920s and 1930s, the great majority of African Americans moving to Chicago settled in a so-called Black Belt on the city's south side. A large number of blacks also settled on the west side. By 1930, 2/3 of Chicago's black population lived in sections of the city which were 90% black in racial composition. Chicago's south side emerged as United States' second largest urban black concentration, following New York's Harlem. In 1990, Chicago's south side and the adjoining south suburbs constituted the largest black majority region in the entire United States. Chicago's population declined in the latter half of the 20th century, from over 3.6 million in 1950 down to under 2.7 million by 2010. By the time of the official census count in 1990, it was overtaken by Los Angeles as the United States' second largest city. The city has seen a rise in population for the 2000 census and after a decrease in 2010. It rose again for the 2020 census. According to U.S. Census estimates as of July 2019, Chicago's largest racial or ethnic group is non-Hispanic white at 32.8% of the population, blacks at 30.1% and the Hispanic population at 29.0% of the population. Chicago has the third largest LGBT population in the United States. In 2018, the Chicago Department of Health estimated 7.5% of the adult population, approximately 146,000 Chicagoans, were LGBTQ. In 2015, roughly 4% of the population identified as LGBT. Since the 2013 legalization of same-sex marriage in Illinois, over 10,000 same-sex couples have wed in Cook County, a majority of them in Chicago. Chicago became a de jure sanctuary city in 2012 when Mayor Rahm Emanuel and the City Council passed the Welcoming City Ordinance. According to the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey data estimates for 2008 to 2012, The median income for a household in the city was $47,408. And the median income for a family was $54,188. Male full-time workers had a median income of $47,074 versus $42,063 for females. About 18.3% of families and 22.1% of the population lived below the poverty line. In 2018, Chicago ranked 7th globally for the highest number of ultra-high net worth residents, with roughly 3,300 residents worth more than $30 million. According to the 2008 to 2012 American Community Survey, the ancestral groups having 10,000 or more persons in Chicago were persons identifying themselves in other groups, were classified at 1.72 million. And unclassified or not reported were approximately 153,000.